And the pollsters, of course, you have the Gallup poll, you have the Lou Harris poll, you have Reuters. Well, there is a group of pollsters that do religious research, and they happen to be here in Ventura, California. Does anybody know who the religious pollster is? George Barna. Barna. Now, I have a lot of his books. I've listened to him. I often don't like Barna's results, but he's usually right. He tests the religious climate among different denominations and churches and non-churches. George Barna says that Seventh-day Adventists used to be people of the book. Don't get in an argument with a Seventh-day Adventist. He'll beat you, hands down. Don't get into a debate with an Adventist. They know the book. They read that Bible daily. George Barna's most recent research says something that hits me just like this. That that's not true anymore. The Seventh-day Adventists have evidently become increased with riches and goods, and they've got educations and MDs and BDs and DVDs and fiddly Ds. He said Seventh-day Adventists who used to be the top of the list of reading the Bible every day are now 14th on the list of denominations. That hurts me. That hurts. I'm ashamed to say that. Now, there's a brain specialist in St. Helena, California. She happens to be a doctor. You can go to her website. She's been doing some research into the significance of Bible reading and prayer, and she works with the brain specialists, the ones who do neurosurgery, and most of these people are non-believers in anything. They are the top brain specialists on the planet. And they've discovered something interesting. Here's where your seatbelts need to be fastened tight. Dr. Arlene Taylor now has discovered something with these brain specialists about prayer. You know, I took chaplaincy here at Loma Linda University Medical School. I took some chaplaincy classes, and the doctors and the physicians and surgeons, they always like it when a pastor or a clergyman or a priest or a bishop or an imam comes in and has prayer, whatever the denomination, for the patient before surgery, because the patient seems to do better as a result of prayer. How can you account for that? In medical science, you see, everything is proven in the laboratory. But there's no way that you can test in a laboratory prayer, can it? You know, Ellen White says something interesting about prayer. When you pray, she says an electrical impulse leaves the brain. I personally believe that God has a big cosmic sensor and he can pick up that impulse and then he can speak back to you in that way. But now, today, these secular people, secular brain surgeons have discovered something about prayer. They can put, you know, these all kinds of nodes, and they put them on your forehead. And when you are, if you pray for a person who's lying in a hospital in Orlando, Florida, they've also put, and they don't tell the patient why, they may be in intensive care. They put those electrodes, same electrodes, on that patient's, get ready for this, you're not going to believe this. When you pray, the instant you pray a thought, these scientists have now discovered the moment you pray for somebody in Florida, something happens in the brain of the person in Florida. They don't understand it. They don't believe that there's that other dimension out there. There is power in prayer. When you get down on your knees and you pray specifically, Jesus modeled for us every morning. I pray for individuals by name out loud in my prayers. That's how Jesus prayed for his disciples and their friends, out loud, by name, specifically. But there's something else, and this is too much for me. These scientists, these surgeons, these brain surgeons, have also discovered something about simply reading something spiritual. Doesn't have to be the Bible. Something devotional. Put on your seatbelts. Science has now discovered today, when a person reads something spiritual for 12 minutes every day, but they have to be reading it out loud. You're not ready for this. When you read privately something devotional out loud for just 12 minutes, science now discovers that all kinds of things happen in your brain. You can actually change brain structures, and they can actually reverse dementia and possibly even Alzheimer's. This is science now. They don't understand it. But listen, Peter's appealing us. Folks, you go to this big celebration weekend, what are you going to do about it? Get back to the book. Get back to your knees. Please, he says. Back to the Bible. Ellen White in Signs of the Times, October 28, 1897, says, we're only using 1/3 of our talents. If we use 1/3 of what our talents enable us to do with the other 2/3 of our powers, we're working against Christ. And she says, for that reason, most Seventh-day Adventists may not get to go to heaven.